Welcome back to our subject. Myself, Dr. Madhivanandurai, currently working as an assistant professor to the Department of School of Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence at SR University, Warangal. So now we will discuss about this transport layer and introduction of transport layer and their services as well. So what is meant by a transport layer? First, we need to understand where it is located first among the in the OSI models. Among the 7 layers, it should be located in the fourth layer of OSI model, Open System Interconnections. So it's over the network layer and below to the section layer. So the role of net transport layer, it ensures the end-to-end communication between the application on different hosts. For example, I am here, I want to send a file to someone to somewhere location he was located. So it should be ensured end-to-end communication between me and that person or me and that devices which link to the by IP addresses. So it sits between the network layer as I told. So it in the network layer which delivers the packets to the right machines and the section layers which manage the communication sections as well. So which means it should be located into the networks layers which delivers the packets to the right machine and section layer the role of section layer which is manage the communication section as well. So its main job is to deliver the data reliable at more reliable and very effectively, and it can say like a correct order of the data framing to the destination point, or we can say the process to process communications, addressing multiplexing and demultiplexing, and flow control and conjunction control as well. We will discuss slowly one by one, like addressing and what is the meaning of multiplexing and demultiplexing and error and flow control and conjunction control as well. So, from this lecture, we will discuss the uh, what are the section we will discuss like a process to process. The meaning of process to process is nothing but deliver the data between the specific applications process, like using a port number. Based on the port number, the file should be sent to the right persons, not just a host. And segmentation. So segmentation is nothing but it breaks the large data size, large data into the small segments, and receivers reassemble in order ways. So before sending to the data should be splitted or divided into the segments, and from the receiver side, before reaching receiver side, the file should be reassembled in the order way. Then error control. So it helps to detect the error and optional corrections error in the transmitting segments, and flow control also. So it support to the prevents the fast senders from welcome overwhelmings, yes, slow receivers. So which means from the sender side, we should not continuously send the file to avoid the overwhelmings of a file, because we need to give the time to receiver side to take the processes it. So that's why we need to control the flow of data. Then multiplexing. So multiplexing is nothing but we will use a single network but a different application to send the information. So many apps like Gmail or Yahoo Mail. Some applications we are used to. So many apps share one IP addresses using a port number to distinguish them and connection service. So coming to the connection service offers both connections oriented transmission control protocols and connectionless UDP modes as well. So these are the role of this is all the role should be done by the transport layer. So in that transport layer, like the major function, the transport layer is responsible for end-to-end process communication of the data packets between the devices. So one device to another device is end-to-end process, and it ensures the data moves seamless from sources to destination across the diverse network. So it should be sent from one one source like a sorry, sender to receiver, like ensure the data moves is seamless, which means without any restriction or stopping of data flow, we continuously can smooth the transaction can be achieved by with the help of a transmission protocol, transmission layer over the network or local as well, and it provides a number of important functions that are responsible for reliable and efficiency and organize the data transferred between the host system in networked environment as well. So these are the key roles for the responsibility of the transport layers. And a process is an applications layer entry like running programs that uses the service to the transport layers. So in the transport layer, we will use a kind of UDP protocols and the transmission control protocols and the STP protocols. We will discuss these protocols in the later. So today, just to discuss about the transport layer, what is the role and other things as well. So in the transport layer, so before we discuss how the process communication can be accomplished, we need to understand the difference between the host to host communication and process to process communications. So, like the network layer is responsible for the communication at computer levels, host to host communications, like one computer to another. Yes. So, like host to host communication is nothing but like responsible for the communication at the computer levels. So a network layer protocols can deliver the messages only to the destination computers or desired computers. However, this is an incomplete delivery also. So this message will need to be handled to correct process. So this is where transport layer protocols takes over. Then transport layer protocol is a response for delivery of messages to the appropriate process, like how should be send the data, like based on this like port numbers. We will discuss in the upcoming uh, slides. Like in the working of transport layer, the transport layer provides a logical communication between the process of different hosts. So, like the data travel across the various physical networks. The communicating application perceives a direct, reliable link. So it implemented only in end sections, not in the intermediate routes here. Then uses a port number to identify or where should be need to go. like based on the port number to identify the sendings and receiving applications. So support a process like a process to process delivery, enabling the multiple applications to share a single network connections and perform the multiplexing and demultiplexing using a port number to direct data to the correct process. So in the data multiplexing, I will explain the next slide, like what is the meaning of multiplexing and demultiplexing. So we'll use a single IP addresses and use a multi or different apps to send the data using a single IP addresses, and it should be stored while reaching to the destination point or end section. The demultiplexing will be executed to uh, send the data set appropriate applications. For example, I am using a Gmail and some Yahoo Mail, some other apps to send the file to someone. So we will use kind of a multiplexing so to combine the information should be stored in the one places right with the single IP addresses, then should be distributed to the by demultiplexing. So divides the data from upper layers into the segments segments. It is transmission control protocols or datagram user datagram protocols, and the data necessary headers like it handles error detection and transmissions and sequence to maintain the reliable communication as well. So here is the port number. So like 52 like 52,100 52,000. So addressing a port number like a local host and a remote host are defined using IP addresses. To define the process, we need to second identify the we need a second identifier called as a port numbers. So this is the port number from sender side to the receiver side. It should be reach. So like port number should be in the 16 bits integers like from 0 to 65535 like that. That identifies a specific applications process on host combined with an IP addresses port from stock to end point of communications. So we can like assigned by IANA used by the standard services of examples HTTP like 80 and FTP like that we can return. So researched for for registered for like assigned to the vendors application services like we can use MySQLs and dynamic like automatically assigned to the client for short live connections. So common well-known port numbers like we can written like 80 and 53 DNS and telnet 23 like that we can return, and this is HTTP and ASMPT. So these are the port number can be returned using the protocols. So in that transport layer like a end-to-end connections between the host how should be happens like so the transport layer is also responsible for the creating of end-to-end connections. So like here this is a sender and this is the end side. So from sender to receivers to create a end-to-end connections between them, so between the host, which is mainly used to like a transmission control protocol and UDP like user datagram and protocols. So CPE is a source like connecting the connection-oriented protocols that uses a handshake protocols. So handshake protocol is nothing but like from the senders make a synchronization to the receiver side. Once receivers get the synchronizations, it send the acknowledgement to the sender side to communicate the data from sender to receivers. So initially need to make a connection, then get the acknowledgement. Later on that we will say uh, communicate the data. So, like handshake protocols used to establish the robust connection between the two end hosts. So, TCP ensures the reliable delivery of the messages and it ensures its various applications. So, UDP on the other hand, like it is a stateless and unreliable protocols that ensure the best effort delivery, and it is suitable for the applications that have little concern with the flow or error control and records sending a bulk of data like videos conferencing. It is often used in the multicast protocols. So just like responsible for the deliver the messages to the appropriate process. So from the sources computer to the destination computer to develop the connection between two the sources, it should be transferred from transport layer to the another transport layer, or simply called here to here. So coming to the workflow, like the transport layer provides a workflow mechanism between the adjacent layer of the transmission control protocols or internet protocols model. So TCP also provides data losses due to faster sending and slower receivers by imposing of some flow controls techniques. So it uses a method of sliding windows protocols, which is accomplished by the receiver by sending a windows back to the sender's information the size of the data it can be received. So from the applicant layer A and send the data to the applicant B. So from transmission control through transmission control protocols, it should be communicated to the network layer and then it should be received from that B the second network applicant layers. So in the workflow, like as we said, like prevent the fastest, it should be like a flow control. Flow control is used for the prevention of a faster sender from overwhelming a slow receivers by using receive windows, simply called as RWND. So the amount of data receiver can be buffer by while continuous sending to the data. So sliding window protocols. So like in that error checking methods in the first unit we already discussed, like we will use for the checksum methods. By using a checksum method, each segment has checked before sending and after reaching the destination point by you adding some redundancy bits. So receiver can be verified if it is acceptable, which means now if it is a reliable value without changing any without flipping the data should be acceptable, whereas otherwise it has to send a site to resend the file. And acknowledgement method, so receiver send the acknowledgement for the correct data in case of missings. Then timeout also in case of send us a timers for fires if no acknowledgement receives. So segment retransmitted by the time we can ask to retransmit the file, transmit the data. and sequence numbers. Even the every bytes numbered like receives recorded and detects the missing segments also. So here like multiplexing, I think next slide in deeply I will discuss. So here is a multiplexing, the role of what is the meaning of multiplexing in transport layers. So it is a processor combining the multiple signals or data streams from different applications or sources into the single channels for transmission. So multiplexing made to one is which is when the data is acquired from the several process from senders and merged into the one packets along with the headers and sent to as a single packet. So for example, here the source he will send the files from Yahoo Mail and Gmail and Outlook, and it should be combined or it should be send it as a single packet before reach to the destination point. Then the multiplexing allows the simultaneous uses of different process over the network that is running on the host. So uh, different application used the single IP address and it should be uh, form it should be assigned as a single packet before reaching to the destination point. Then it should be demultiplexing after reaching to the destination point with appropriate applications. So like here see different process using a multiplexer come in the single IP addresses data should be shared to the another another host, then it should be received and demultiplexing the data, then data should be splitted. So the first in the transport layer, the first we need to get a synchronization from client to server to send request the data. As a client he will send the request to the server, so make it he should send the synchronize that to the server, then server send to the acknowledgement to the client. Once get the acknowledgement, then he will give the acknowledgement acceptable further to get and go the data information. So this is kind of three-way handshake methods. So initially create the synchronization, then acknowledgement, then further acknowledgement as well. So first computer networks connect to the second computer by sending a synchronization packets to specified port number. So based on the specified port number, it should be linked together. Then if the second computer is listening, it will be respond with the synchronize and acknowledge that one. When the first computer receive the sync and acknowledgement, it replies with the acknowledgement again to again packet acknowledgement packets. So after this two devices can be communicate normally, then start to execute the data transaction. So this is another method like connection termination. So like in case of the transmission control protocol connects, we have two types of termination mechanisms. So once the data communication is completed, we have to make it as a connection termination process to avoiding the errors between the transactions. So in the graceful connections releases the connection in open until both parties have closed their sides of the connections. In so a client send the synchronization and the server get to the acknowledgement, get back to the acknowledgement, and again the acknowledgement. So communication termination means ending or closing a connections link between the two devices link client and the server after they have finished the data exchange process. So reliable data delivery, like what is the meaning of reliable data delivery? So it ensures all the data is delivered correctly. How should we identify by correctly? Using error reduction methods, using a checksum and mm, cycle redundancy check methods, or some simple method and multi methods. So by the techniques we can it should be ensure the reliable data deliver correctly in sequence and without duplicating of data in protocols like a TCP. Then quality of services like a QoS optional. So it ensure the purity and the performance for the specific type of data like a video call or file transfers. So then the next we will discuss about this like TCP transmission control protocols and user datagram protocols like how TCP provide reliable, ordered and error-free delivers the three-way handshake method like sync with the acknowledgement, then again acknowledgement from the client to the server. So sequence and acknowledgement and numbers like and retransmissions on timeout in case of timeout processor ask to retransmit the data and flow control also make it by using TCP like a window size then conjunction control slow start and order delivery guarantees guaranteed. So using HTTP and FTP and email access as well. And UDP user datagram protocols like a connectionless and the best effort, like a no handshake methods can be done into the data transmissions and send immediately. No sequence and acknowledgement trackings as well. No retransmission also supported into the system. So no flow or congestion control as well, and low latency and high throughput and unordered and unreliable delivery also can be possible using the DNS and DHCP and the streaming valve. So coming to the transport layer, the overview, the process in the like process to process delivery, which means user port number like a user port number to deliver the data to the correct application, not just to the host machines. And flow control also can be maintained by using in the transport layer like sliding windows and prevent the faster sender from overrunning slow receivers buffers as well. And segmentation and reassemble divide the applications data into the segments, which means the big size of data should be splitted or divided into the segments, then transmit at finally reassemble the data into the correct order format at the receivers. And connection managements like three-way handshake method we are using just first synchronize the request and get acknowledgement, then we can execute handshake establish the connections four-way fin acknowledgement and terminate the it gracefully. Then reliable deliver like a sequence number and acknowledgement and retransmissions timer ensure on the no data is permanently lost. Congestion control like nothing but a slow start and congestion avoidance, and faster retransmit, prevent the network meltdowns. Error detection checks some files and every segment's data, detect bit errors and corrupted segments are discarded. And multiplexing and deplexing, as we know, like multiplexing processors share the networks using port numbers, and the receiver routes each segments correctly. So these are outcomes like understanding the role of functions, transport layer, and the OSI models. Explain the key transports layers services such as segmentations, connections control, and flow control, and error control as well. Thank you.